The mystery of the Oculate Being. The vast desert of Jumana in Peru has long been a silent archive of ancient knowledge, etched directly into the earth by a culture whose understanding of reality appears to have extended far beyond the ordinary. Among the most mysterious of these creations is the Paracas geoglyph, known as the Oculate Being, a massive figure stretching approximately 45 meters in length across the arid ground. Its sheer scale alone suggests that it was never meant to be seen from close range, but rather contemplated from above or from a symbolic spiritual vantage point. The Oculate Being presents itself in a frontal posture, a deliberate choice that immediately distinguishes it from many other geoglyphs depicting animals or abstract shapes. This frontal orientation conveys intention and awareness, as if the figure is meant to confront the observer directly. The most arresting feature of the geoglyph is its large, circular eyes. These eyes are not simply exaggerated human traits, but appear intensely focused, conveying a form of vision that transcends the physical. Many researchers and observers interpret this gaze as sacred sight, a way of perceiving both the visible world and the unseen forces that govern it simultaneously. Emerging from the head of the figure is a vertical element resembling a bolt of lightning or a column of energy. This feature has been widely interpreted as an axis connecting the earthly realm to the celestial world above. In many ancient belief systems, such vertical symbols represent communication between dimensions, a pathway through which knowledge, power, or spiritual force travels. In this context, the Oculate Being appears not merely as an observer, but as an active conduit between the heavens and the land below. Extending outward from the body are multiple wavy appendages that resemble serpents, flowing streams, or currents of living energy. These forms are rich with symbolic meaning. Snakes and undulating lines are often associated with water, fertility, vegetation, and renewal, all essential forces for survival in an unforgiving desert environment. They also suggest movement and transformation, reinforcing the idea that the Oculate Being governs dynamic processes rather than static existence. These appendages appear to reach into the surrounding landscape, implying the being's influence over natural cycles and its role as a mediator between humanity and the forces of nature. The placement and preservation of the geoglyph further deepen its mystery. Creating such an immense figure would have required careful planning, communal effort, and a shared understanding of its purpose. This suggests that the Oculate Being held profound ritual significance, likely tied to ceremonies intended to maintain balance between the material and spiritual worlds. It may have represented a guardian, a deity, or an ancestral force believed to oversee cosmic order. What makes the Paracas Oculate Being especially compelling is how closely it aligns with similar symbolic figures found across ancient cultures worldwide. The emphasis on enlarged eyes, energy-emitting forms, and serpentine extensions appears again and again in early art, hinting at a shared human experience or a universal perception of higher forces. To many, this consistency raises profound questions about what ancient civilizations may have witnessed or understood about the nature of reality. Today, the Oculate Being remains carved into the desert, enduring wind, time, and silence. Its presence continues to challenge modern assumptions about ancient peoples, suggesting they possessed a sophisticated spiritual framework and a deep awareness of invisible forces shaping the universe. An alleged video of the Varginha creature is going viral online. New footage allegedly showing the mysterious Varginha creature has begun circulating rapidly across social media, reigniting one of the most discussed encounters in modern unexplained history. The short video clip, grainy and unstable, is said to have been recorded by an eyewitness during the original incident before a uniformed soldier can be heard instructing the person filming to switch off the camera. For many observers, this footage represents the most significant update in decades, offering what appears to be a fleeting visual confirmation of a case long supported mainly by eyewitness testimony. The Varginha incident began on the afternoon of the 20th of January, 1996, shortly after 3:30 in the afternoon. In the Santana neighborhood, located in the northern part of Varginha, 3 young women were walking together when they entered an abandoned and barren area. 16-year-old Lilian da Silva, her 14-year-old sister Valkyria, and 22-year-old Katia Xavier came upon a sight that would permanently alter their lives. According to their accounts, a strange being was positioned against the wall of a deserted cinder block structure. The creature was small in stature, estimated to be roughly 2.5 feet tall, with a body shape that did not resemble any known animal or human. Its skin appeared leathery and brown, with a texture unlike anything the witnesses had ever seen. Most striking was its head, which was triangular in shape, featuring large, prominent red eyes that appeared alert and aware. The newly circulating footage appears to show a figure matching these descriptions. Though blurred, the outline of a small humanoid form with an enlarged head and glowing eyes can be discerned. The being seems crouched near rubble, its posture tense and guarded. The abrupt interruption of the recording by a soldier has intensified speculation, as it suggests official awareness and immediate intervention. As the video spreads, many believe it lends renewed credibility to the original eyewitness accounts. The footage aligns closely with descriptions given consistently over the years, reinforcing the idea that the Varginha creature was not a product of imagination or rumor. Instead, it suggests a real encounter briefly captured before being concealed. The resurfacing of this material has reopened public discussion and fascination, reminding many that some mysteries do not fade with time. Instead, they wait quietly until new evidence brings them back into the light. Woman provides evidence that she was attacked by Bigfoot. This extraordinary set of images has ignited widespread discussion after a woman came forward claiming she experienced a terrifying encounter with Bigfoot while riding her bicycle along a remote roadway. According to her account, the incident unfolded suddenly, leaving her little time to react as the large, upright figure emerged from the roadside vegetation. The images she later shared show visible injuries on her body, which she believes were inflicted during the encounter, alongside a separate photograph that she insists captures the creature itself moving away from the scene. The woman stated that she was fortunate to have bear mace with her, crediting it with allowing her to escape the situation before it escalated further. She described the figure as tall, broad, and covered in thick hair, moving with a speed and confidence that did not resemble any known animal. The photograph she provided appears to show a large, human-like shape crossing near the road, illuminated by artificial light, with proportions that many viewers argue do not match those of a typical forest animal. Authorities reportedly dismissed her claims, suggesting the image showed a bear and labeling the photograph as manipulated. However, the woman has firmly rejected this explanation, expressing frustration at what she views as a refusal to seriously examine the evidence she presented. Supporters of her account point out that bears do not move with the same upright posture seen in the image, nor do they exhibit the long, swinging arm motion that appears visible in the photograph. The injuries shown in the images have further fueled speculation. While skeptics argue they could have resulted from a fall, others note that the marks appear inconsistent with a simple cycling accident. To believers, the combination of physical evidence and photographic material strengthens the case that this encounter was real and not a fabrication. The mystery of Evani Tito from Zhigulyovsk, Russia. The story of Evani Tito from Zhigulyovsk, Russia, has puzzled investigators and the public alike, raising unsettling questions about memory, perception, and unexplained human behavior. On the 15th of March, 2024, the 21-year-old vanished after embarking on a long journey that was meant to be routine and familiar. What followed was a sequence of events so strange that it continues to defy simple explanation. Evgeny had traveled nearly 1,600 kilometers from the city of Tolyatti to St. Petersburg. According to family members, the purpose of the trip was straightforward. He intended to visit a friend and spend time away from home. There were no known conflicts or reasons for concern prior to his departure. Communication with his family continued as expected until it suddenly stopped. Messages went unanswered and calls were not returned. As hours turned into days, concern grew and authorities were notified. During the early stages of the investigation, officials uncovered a personal diary belonging to Evgeny. Inside were a series of cryptic and fragmented entries that suggested confusion and emotional strain. The writings did not clearly explain his intentions or state of mind, but they hinted at inner turmoil. For those close to him, the diary raised troubling questions about whether something had gone wrong during his journey, or whether he had experienced a sudden shift in awareness. The mystery deepened when Evgeny was eventually discovered near Pulkovo Airport in St. Petersburg. He was found trapped inside a narrow drainage pipe, an environment entirely unsuited for human movement. Witnesses later stated that he had crawled approximately 12 meters through a sewer shaft measuring only 30 centimeters in width. At some point during this effort, he became stuck and was unable to move forward or back. Emergency crews were called to the scene, and the rescue effort proved both complex and time-consuming. It took roughly 7 hours and the use of heavy machinery to safely free him from the pipe. When Evgeny was finally brought out, he was suffering from hypothermia but was alive and responsive. Medical teams provided immediate care, and his condition stabilized. What made the incident even more perplexing was Evgeny's account after his rescue. He stated that he had no memory of entering the drainage pipe or any reason for doing so. According to him, his only intention that day was to be at the airport to change a plane ticket. There was no recollection of crawling underground, no explanation for how he ended up in such a confined and dangerous place. This absence of memory has fueled ongoing speculation. Some have wondered whether exhaustion, stress, or disorientation played a role, while others question whether an unknown psychological episode may have influenced his actions. Despite investigations and medical evaluations, no clear answers have emerged. Mysterious apparition. The photograph shared by Carol has unsettled many who have viewed it, not because of what was intended to be captured, but because of what appeared unexpectedly. Taken years ago by her cousin during what seemed like an ordinary outdoor gathering, the image shows several adults standing together at night, posing proudly for the camera. At the time the picture was taken, everyone present was accounted for, and no children were nearby. Yet upon reviewing the image later, a small girl can clearly be seen standing to the right of the group. According to Carol's cousin, the child was not there in any physical sense. He is adamant that no young girl stood beside them, and no one matching her description was present before or after the photograph was taken. The girl appears solid and fully formed, not transparent or distorted, which makes the image even more unsettling. She stands quietly, facing forward, her posture calm, as though she belongs there. Those who have examined the image closely point out that the lighting on the child matches the rest of the scene, suggesting she was not added later or created by a reflection. Her proportions are consistent with a young child, and her presence does not resemble motion blur, shadow, or a trick of perspective. This has led many viewers to believe the photograph may show a genuine apparition rather than a simple photographic anomaly. What adds to the mystery is the emotional response the image provokes. Many who have seen it describe an immediate sense of unease, noting that the child's presence feels solemn rather than playful. She does not interact with the others, nor does she appear startled or out of place. Instead, she stands as a silent observer, captured for a brief moment in time. Over the years, the photograph has circulated online, with countless people suggesting it represents one of the clearest examples of an unexplained presence appearing in a casual photograph. Whether viewed as a spirit, a lingering imprint, or something beyond human understanding, the image continues to raise questions about what may exist just beyond ordinary perception, quietly revealing itself when least expected. The mysterious Yellowstone image. The strange photograph taken in Yellowstone during 2017 has continued to unsettle those who have examined it closely. At first glance, the image appears ordinary. A man stands beside an open vehicle, carefully photographing wildlife across a wide and quiet landscape. The scene feels calm and unremarkable, captured during what should have been a peaceful family outing in one of America's most iconic national parks. Nothing in the foreground suggests anything unusual or out of place. It was only later, while reviewing the images on a computer screen, that something deeply unsettling emerged. The man's father noticed a face visible through the windshield of the car parked in the background. The face does not resemble any known reflection or shadow and appears to be positioned where no one was standing at the time the photo was taken. The car was empty, and the items on the ground nearby were simply belongings removed from the boot, confirming that no person should have been inside or near the vehicle. When zoomed in, the face becomes disturbingly clear. Its features appear human-like, yet unfamiliar, with an expression that seems to be watching silently from within the car. The figure does not align with lighting conditions reflections, or angles that could easily explain its presence. The windshield glass shows no distortion that would account for such a detailed and centered image, making the discovery even more difficult to dismiss. What makes the photograph especially compelling is that no one noticed anything unusual at the time. There were no strange sounds, movements, or feelings of being observed while the photo was taken. The moment passed unnoticed, preserved only by the camera. This delayed realization adds to the eerie nature of the image, suggesting that whatever appeared did so quietly and without drawing attention. For those who believe the image is genuine, it represents one of those rare moments where something unexplained slips into everyday life without warning. Mysterious CCTV footage. A recently shared photograph from South Yorkshire in the United Kingdom has captured widespread attention after revealing a deeply unsettling detail that no one noticed at first. The image was recorded by a home motion detection camera during the quiet evening hours, a system installed purely for security and peace of mind. At a glance, the scene appears ordinary: parked vehicles, a dimly lit residential street, and the stillness expected of a calm neighborhood. Nothing seems out of place until the faint figure near the foreground becomes visible. Closer inspection reveals what many believe to be the translucent form of a small child. The shape appears partially transparent, softly illuminated, and strangely detached from the physical surroundings. What has drawn the most attention is the posture of the figure. Observers claim that the stance and positioning of the legs resemble the motion of skipping, a gentle and playful movement frozen in time. This detail has unsettled many, as no children were present outside the home during that period. The figure does not cast a solid shadow, nor does it reflect light in the same way as nearby objects. Its outline appears blurred at the edges, as though it exists between moments rather than within one. The motion detection system captured no other activity before or after the image, leaving this single frame as the only record of the event. Neighbors reported no unusual sounds, footsteps, or disturbances that night. What makes the photograph particularly haunting is the innocence implied by the form. The act of skipping is associated with joy and childhood freedom, creating a stark contrast against the cold, monochrome backdrop of the street. Many who have viewed the image describe an overwhelming sense of sadness mixed with unease, as though the moment represents something unfinished. For those who believe the image is genuine, it stands as a rare and chilling glimpse into something beyond everyday understanding. A simple security camera, designed to watch for intruders, may have instead captured a quiet echo from another time, briefly passing through a modern street before fading once more into silence. The mysterious aerial school encounter. On the morning of September 16, 1994, the children and teachers at Aerial School in Zimbabwe started their day as usual. Nevertheless, an occurrence during the morning break would finally seize the interest of the whole population. A total of 62 students would report to their teachers that spaceships had landed near the school. In addition, a group of individuals of short stature exited from the spacecraft, clearly visible to the witnesses, who, interestingly, all provided identical descriptions of the event. On the 16th of September, the instructors at Aerial School in Rua, Zimbabwe, had a planned meeting while the students were having their morning playtime. Despite the presence of a single adult overseeing the children at the tuck shop, they were essentially left unsupervised. While they were enthusiastically shouting to one another in the schoolyard, a number of them observed a massive silver disc in the sky above. In addition, there were numerous smaller aircrafts maneuvering around the main object. Instantly, a momentary silence enveloped the schoolyard as every child directed their focus towards the shining objects in the sky. As the mysterious object flew directly above, it appeared to be preparing to touch down in close proximity to a tiny hill located on the other side of the fence surrounding the schoolyard. The children sprinted towards the barrier in order to obtain a more advantageous view. Despite being part of the school, the site was inaccessible to the children due to ongoing clearing operations. While observing, a diminutive being, approximately 3 feet in height, abruptly emerged from the spherical entity. The children later characterized the creature as being abnormally thin and with exceedingly huge eyes. He descended from the aircraft and proceeded to stroll towards the fence where they were observing. It's been suggested that they emitted a synchronized exhalation of surprise, as upon taking just a few steps, he became aware of the presence of the youngsters and halted his movement. Meanwhile, a different individual observed from atop the vehicle. After a brief period of intense eye contact, the first being turned around and returned to the spacecraft. Shortly thereafter, the spacecraft disappeared, along with the smaller crafts in the sky. Several children would enter the school premises in a state of distress, shedding tears and saying that something terrifying was happening outside. The region was filled with tales of demons and malevolent beings, and a few of the smaller children firmly believed that this was indeed what they had witnessed. The older children, despite their continued unease, were undergoing a phenomenon that was subsequently characterized as telepathic communication with the being that stood in the field before them. A significant number of individuals already possessed prior knowledge of what they had witnessed. Amidst the chaos, the school's teachers were hauled out of their meeting. One of them would later express that they simply heard them emitting loud and continuous screams. Another individual expressed initial skepticism and acknowledged that although they believed the youngsters had seen something, they were inclined to seek a more logical and sensible explanation. The school's headmaster acknowledged the children's encounter, but originally deemed it prudent to leave the problem unresolved. Subsequent to the weekend, the school started receiving a series of phone calls from anxious parents. Each individual would pose the identical inquiry, asking what had occurred to cause such intense fear in their children. Cynthia Hind, in conjunction with Dr. John Mack, would engage in individual conversations with the youngsters. Each would possess identical information, and Mack firmly believed in the children's genuineness and the legitimacy of the situation. He would assert that the witnesses recounted these events with the authenticity and vividness of personal experience. Several children who reported receiving telepathic connection from the ominous figure before them would have intriguing revelations. One witness would explain the event as suddenly feeling as if a vivid mental image was rapidly passing through their mind. A psychic message, a form of communication transmitted through the mind. Another individual informed Hind and Mack that the mysterious beings had come to inform them that they are not adequately caring for the planet. Another witness had a perspective that was even more ominous. They asserted that they had vivid mental images depicting the apocalypse, characterized by the complete destruction of all trees and the inability of individuals to breathe. These specific pieces of information are consistently found in a large number of UFO sightings and have persisted for several decades. It is crucial to bear in mind that most, if not all, of these children would have had minimal to no exposure to UFO experiences in significant depth. It's important to note that television was still a limited platform, far from the extensive reach it has achieved today. Essentially, it is improbable that every single one of the 62 children, ranging in age from 6 to 12 years old, would have collaborated and sustained such a deceit. Others expressed similar empathy towards the circumstances recounted by the children. Undoubtedly, other individuals who have scrutinized the case subsequently arrived at the same conclusions, that the youngsters, regardless of what they witnessed, were unequivocally speaking the truth. Tim Leach, the BBC bureau chief for Zimbabwe, would personally meet and interview the majority of the children who had observed the peculiar incidents that occurred that morning, and he would do so immediately following the sighting. He would assert that the occurrence and the testimonies of the youngsters who observed it provided him with a fresh outlook on life, the cosmos, and everything. It appeared that there were explanations provided for why the pyrotechnic performance was actually a meteor shower. Nevertheless, numerous witnesses reported sightings of these fireball-like vehicles around the region on that particular day. Additionally intriguing is an occurrence that transpired a mere 2 days prior, a mere 25 miles in proximity, at the Pier House School. That morning, approximately 100 school children observed an unusual flying vehicle descending at an unusually low altitude, seeming as if it were preparing to touch down. In addition, the radio system utilized by the school bus service experienced a complete outage during the sighting. Furthermore, at least one of the youngsters who observed the incident at Ariel School had previously spotted an unusual phenomenon in the sky and playfully referred to it as a UFO before concluding that it was likely an aeroplane. Nevertheless, she internally acknowledged the peculiarity of the thing, likening it to a cigarette. It was only after the events at the school unfolded that she started to really consider the possibility that the object she had witnessed that morning was the same one that had recently landed near the school. Additionally, it is worth noting that the accounts of the creature that had moved away from the spacecraft include specific characteristics of a dark and shadowy figure. In the realm of the unexplained, two phenomena have captured the public's imagination and sparked intense debate: unidentified flying objects and shadow people. While both have been reported independently, a growing number of accounts suggest a curious connection between them. Witnesses who encounter UFOs often report seeing shadowy humanoid figures, commonly referred to as shadow people, during or immediately following these sightings. Witnesses of shadow people during UFO encounters consistently describe the figures as dark, human-like silhouettes without any distinguishing features. These shadow beings are typically seen in peripheral vision and often vanish when directly observed. They are reported to move quickly and silently, sometimes appearing to glide rather than walk. Encounters with shadow people are often accompanied by intense emotional and physical reactions. Witnesses report feelings of dread, fear, and unease, as well as physical sensations such as chills, a feeling of heaviness, and an unexplained drop in temperature. These reactions suggest that the presence of shadow people exerts a significant psychological and physiological impact on witnesses. Emily Trim, a witness, would later describe the sound as a high-pitched frequency, followed by a flash before the craft became visible. She would also clarify that she was uncertain about the duration of the episode. The descriptions of the colors that rapidly arose, including blues, reds, and greens, are commonly reported in numerous other UFO sightings, along with the observation that they seemed to encircle the perimeter of the spacecraft at a high velocity. Particularly intriguing are the assertions made by one of the witnesses, who reported that a group of individuals gathered to inspect the area where the unidentified flying object touched down. Despite the prohibition, she reported that people who entered the site discovered charred grass where the mysterious object had been. Both the teachers and many of the children's parents first had difficulty fully trusting the reports the children shared that morning. During a documentary, some 18 months after the occurrence, when questioned about their feelings towards others who doubted their account, the children expressed sadness and frustration, with one youngster even suggesting that such skepticism would cast doubt on the truthfulness of their claims. Truly, had this event been observed by only one youngster, or even 2 or 3, such rejections might have resulted in the incidents being disregarded before it could spread to the neighboring town, let alone the rest of the world. The presence of numerous witnesses to the incident provided a source of mutual support and validation regarding their observations. In addition to the previous statement of a sighting at a school 25 miles away, Cynthia Hind also gathered other reports of UFO activity and sightings of peculiar creatures in the aerial area prior to the incident. During the period preceding the aerial school event, a mother and her small son asserted that they observed an unidentified flying object during daytime hours. Arguably the most disconcerting of these observations, however, originated from a truck driver who asserted to have witnessed peculiar entities by the side of the road one evening during his journey. The enduring impression of the aerial school UFO incident is that, although the true nature of the peculiar craft and its much more peculiar occupants remains uncertain, it is quite likely that the students did indeed witness an unidentified phenomenon on that September morning in 1994. Every kid, who will now be in their 30s, asserts that what they witnessed that morning was undeniably genuine. Several individuals who observed the peculiar, darkly dressed individuals from a close distance assert that they will never forget the intense gaze directed towards them. Undoubtedly, one can only speculate on the frequency with which these witnesses have been roused from their slumber by recollections of the peculiar creature they encountered, not only during their formative years, but also in their adult lives. In addition, not only individuals involved in UFO research, but also experts in child behavior, argue that it would be highly implausible for numerous youngsters of such a tender age to unanimously agree on and consistently maintain the same narrative, especially for an extended period of time. There is little question that the children were totally honest in recounting the events of that morning, and they continue to be that way even now as adults. Regardless of whether the meeting was intentional or not, it is important to reiterate that the witnesses received identical telepathic signals that morning, which have also been reported in several incidents of close contact. Themes that center on the improper utilization of technology and the harm being inflicted onto the world, and ones that require attention. The most compelling explanation for the aerial school encounter is the extraterrestrial hypothesis. The detailed descriptions of the craft and beings, along with the telepathic communication reported by the children, align with other accounts of UFO encounters. The messages about environmentalism and the dangers of technology also mirror themes reported in other close encounter cases. The involvement of credible researchers like Cynthia Hind and Dr. John Mack further supports the possibility that the aerial school encounter was a genuine mysterious event. The aerial school encounter underscores the importance of open-minded inquiry in the study of UFO phenomena. The willingness of researchers like Cynthia Hind and Dr. John Mack to listen to and validate the children's experiences helped bring the incident to light and ensured that it was taken seriously. This open-minded approach is crucial for advancing our understanding of unexplained phenomena and encouraging a rigorous investigation of such events. The messages reportedly conveyed to the children during the encounter are profoundly relevant to contemporary challenges. Whether or not the encounter was of advanced origin, these messages resonate with humanity's ongoing efforts to address environmental degradation and the ethical implications of technological advancement. As of right now, the aerial school UFO encounter remains one of the most compelling and mysterious incidents in the history of UFO sightings. The consistency and sincerity of the children's accounts, coupled with the involvement of credible researchers, suggest that this was a genuine encounter with an unexplained phenomenon. The incident challenges our understanding of reality and underscores the importance of keeping an open mind in the face of the unknown.